There we go.
Okay. Hey, everyone. Sorry about that. How are you doing? Welcome to the HockeyBuzzcast. Thank you so much for joining us. Russ is going to start with something while I bring up my notes for today's show. What do you got?
Yeah, so a little bit of sad news. I woke up earlier than I normally do today. Woke up around 6:30, and first thing I see on my phone is that King Kong Bundy passed away. And he was a big wrestler. He was a star of WrestleMania 2, I think it was, and a lot of other things, obviously. But he always was challenging Hulk Hogan. He is a neighbor of mine. He literally lives 2 blocks away. And so I would see him once or twice a year.
Is that why the ground was slanted near your house?
Yeah. I had 2 interesting stories about him. One is when I was in the hotel business, I lived in the Richmond area, a place called Midlothian, before I moved to Jersey. And so I was working for Hyatt, and I got a call right before I was leaving the hotel one night that, hey, I'm the manager for King Kong Bundy, and he's coming in. Please, please, please save us a king-size bed. Now, this guy was about 400 pounds. So I said, not only will I save you a king-size bed, I will give you an upgrade to a jacuzzi room. He's like, thanks. He goes, look, if you're around at, I don't know, and he gave me a time, he'll want to thank you. And so I stayed a little later.
By sitting on you.
He did thank me, and he was very appreciative because the manager said they've been in that situation before where like a wrestler's traveling on the road and all of a sudden, he gets a queen or less of a bed. For that guy, it's a non-starter. So
can you imagine though the stress that
I know.
The bed rack that is put on by like if Tor Kamada or Kamala or King Kong Bundy.
He lost a lot of weight. Yeah, he lost a lot of weight. Haystacks Calhoun was bigger than them all. He lost a lot of weight, and so like when I'd see him around here, he's still a big man. Don't get me wrong, but not like his wrestling weight. But I would see him at the post office one time at the post office. It was right after the Flyers lost in the Stanley Cup to the Blackhawks. It was literally the day after. And we were both online, and of course, the people at the post office always ask me about hockey and sports, and so they were asking me about that game, and they were like, "What is your take?" And I said, "Well, I don't blame Michael Layton." I said, and I said something like the Blackhawks were better. It was a great shot by Kane, and all of a sudden, and I don't know if I knew King Kong Bundy was next to me or not, but he just goes, "Thank you," like a big. and I said, "For what?" He goes, "For telling the truth, for telling it like it is." So he was obviously a guy that didn't like any kind of homerish BS. Yeah. He just sort of liked you to say what it is. And then one other time we had this like World Food Festival in town. And it was not a big town. And so, and they had food from, like Mexican restaurants are here and all different places. And so we had some Mexican food to go with us. I think it was like taquitos and something else. And all of a sudden, King Kong Bundy walks up. He strolls up to us. He goes, "Hey, what you got there?"
honestly, Russ, I don't want to be anywhere near King Kong Bundy if he's eating Mexican food, because that will register on the University of Buffalo's seismic events. Yeah.
But it was just funny. Like, he was just a regular guy that way. So we told him where we got the food, and I think he pet our dogs because we had our dogs with us, and then he went to go get some, and that was him. So as popular and as he was as a wrestler and famous, he really just wanted to sort of be a regular guy after that. He would do some signings and stuff, but if you noticed, he wasn't really out in the public eye much on Twitter when he did a signing. So, and sad to see him go, actually.
Yeah. Only 61 years old. I was a little surprised, I mean, and that's the thing. It's like, not the, because we know that celebrity deaths come in threes, and Luke Perry was on the weekend, and he was only 52. And now you got to, I know the wrestlers, because they're bigger guys, that their life expectancy isn't as long, even if they're in great shape, just because they're immense guys. But now I'm sort of hesitant, waiting for the third shoe to drop.
There's more than 3. There was a singer from a band called Prodigy, a singer from Prodigy. Mm-hmm. He died. There was another drummer that died.
Yeah, but I'm talking about celebrity.
Oh, I'm sorry, these don't rate on your scale, Mike.
Who I was talking to that has like a group of friends. Oh, I know, it's a friend of mine. He and his buddies from college have what they call the
death pool.
The death pool type thing, yeah, where they text each other the first to text them if someone's died.
Russ would always win that one.
Russ would be really good at this, but they have this whole thing. It has to be somebody that everybody's heard of. It has to be somebody consequential. But yeah, it's
Kevin Allen has called Russ the Grim Reaper, and I think that is a title.
Yes.
No, it is a little warped, I have to say.
Okay.
But no, it's all right. Let's get going here. We got some stuff to talk about.
A few things.
You text me, put into the mess chat there, so I know what you have on mine, Mike. Because I got a couple things too.
Oh, yeah, okay. No, well, just a couple of the some of the rules things from the NHL GMs meetings and a couple of games last night that were pretty interesting.
Yeah, I got that too. Good. All right, cool. And a Sparks signing, I guess, right? So, all right, here we go.
Okay.
Hello, Hockey World. It's Tuesday, March 5th. 2019. Happy Mardi Gras, by the way.
I'm Michael Agello, and I'm not fat on Tuesday.
Wow, I'm going to leave that one. I'm Russ. What's all of it?
Yeah, Fat Tuesday. And I'm Eklund. You're watching the Hockey Buzzcast on HockeyBuzz.com. This is the podcast that comes to you every Monday through Friday at this time to fill you in on the comings and goings in the hockey world. And we are very happy with you, as always. You guys are such a great audience, and it's amazing how much has picked up since the trade deadline. As usual, a lot of you guys have stuck around and stayed and watched, and we really appreciate that. It's good stuff. All right, so and another so quick note here on my blog today. Been take a little bit of heat for this. I wanted to get your opinion on this real quick. It's not that substantial, but I put together the list of what I thought were the 26 most interesting free agents that are coming up. And I always do this right, usually like a week after the trade deadline, just to take a little while to settle back and then look at the UFAs, where they've been traded to, ones who have stayed. And I always put it into three categories: the ones that are almost definitely going to market, the ones that are possibly / likely to sign with their current club, and then the ones who are really, we pretty much know are going to sign with their current club, like Zdeno Chara, for example, who's like going to sign anywhere but Boston. And this list usually, usually is the smallest group. The probably resigning with their club is usually the second largest, and the possibly / likely resigning with their club is usually the largest. And so in general, that's how it goes. This year, though, the almost definitely going to market of the 26, there are 12 of them, but possibly likely to resign with their current club, there's 8 of them. Mm-hmm. And then the absolutely resigning with their club, I only came up with 8. Or 6. Mm-hmm. That's 26. And a couple of these I put on the possibly resigning with their current club, people were upset about. And but let's go through the almost definitely going to market. Let me see if you guys agree with all these guys. Okay, these are the guys. Okay, so stop me if any of these guys you think aren't going to market. This is not definitely, but almost definitely. Like I'm going to say 90% or more they're going to market.
So stop if you think they are going to market.
Yeah, if you think that there's less than 90% chance, you think there's more, they're greater than 10% chance essentially that they're going to sign with their club now, then stop.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So number 1, Artemi Panarin. Number 2, Erik Karlsson.
Okay, just the 3 in a row, and then we can.
Yeah. Okay, Panarin, Karlsson, and Hayes. Those are my top 3.
None of them will sign with the teams they're on. That's my feeling.
Yeah, I think the only one that there's an outside chance would be Karlsson, but it depends on. He's injured right now, and you got to remember that there are contracts that are kicking in next year for San Jose. So. And they have to re-sign Pavelski, and they have to re-sign Thornton if he wants to come back for another year. So I think there's an outside chance on Karlsson, but I think Panarin and Hayes are definitely going to be someplace else.
Okay, I'm with you on that. All right, next 3: Duchesne, Zuccarello, and Simmons.
I think that all 3 of them are going to be free agents and testing the waters. I don't think Duchesne is going to stay in Columbus. He may pay lip service to it, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Yep, all 3 in free agency is what I see as well.
Bobrovsky, Brassard, Nyquist.
You missed one.
Bobrovsky, Gardner, Brassard.
Right. Yeah, all 3. Brassard's a rental. Gardner, there's literally no way the Leafs can afford to sign him unless he takes a significant discount. Or I'll put this out there.
No. You don't get caveats. No.
I'm just saying because it's right now what's going on. He may have back surgery. If he has back surgery, he might sign a 1-year deal with the Leafs.
Well, you have to factor that in, Mike, and you have to give a decisive answer here.
Okay, I think he's going to market. I think he's leaving.
You think there's a greater than 10% chance, a less than 10% chance he signs back with the Leafs, basically?
Yeah, I think it's minuscule, but I think that's his injury status might affect, because who's going to pay for him on a long-term deal if he's having back surgery? That's a big question mark.
Nobody, but I don't know if the Leafs will give him a lot, even on a short-term deal with the back surgery, because they're pretty
right. But if there's one place, Russ, that he would sign a 1-year deal, it's a place that he knows.
Yeah, that's true. I'm still thinking they're all going to market, though.
I think it's possible that Nyquist signs again in San Jose because he did pick to go there. Remember, it was a place. So if he's going to sign somewhere, it depends how it goes. San Jose doesn't have a whole lot of money, so that's why I think he's still going to market.
Right.
But okay, so those, and then the last three I have are Nyquist, Nyquist, Eberle, and Marcus Johansson.
Eberle is definitely going to market because I don't think the Islanders are interested in signing him, and Johansson is a pure rental with Boston, so yeah, he's going to market too.
I'm going to say I think there's a chance Boston could retain Johansson because he's not an expensive player, and if he produces in the playoffs, he's different than a lot of the other guys that they have. So I think there's a chance for him there. Otherwise, I think the rest go to market.
We do like him there. I agree. I talked to one player who said he's like a mini version of what's his name? Oh gosh, that's so terrible. The guy who's always hurt there. Oh man, I hate this stuff. What was that?
David Krejci.
Yeah, right. They thought Johansson player compared him to.
There's some things that he does that are similar, and that's the thing. I think they need a couple of those players because they have too many of the Backus Coyle type.
But the difference is that he's a winger, not a center, and Krejci's making over $7 million, and there's no way in hell that Johansson's going to make anywhere close to that.
No. But he'll be.
But they might sign him because he's a skill guy and he could fit with skill guys. But I don't. It's going to have to be to their liking. They have a lot of kids that they're gonna bring up in the next year or two. So do they really want to clog the works with a veteran like Johansson if they don't think he's any better than some of the other guys who are coming through the system?
Now, I do have breaking news.
Okay.
So the breaking news is, as we all know, the Carolina Hurricanes this year wore the Hartford Whalers jerseys. In defense of that now, the Hartford Yard Goats, who are a professional baseball team, but they're, in the independent, thank you. In the independent league, they are going to wear Hurricanes jerseys for one game.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, tonight, tonight is the Hurricanes Bruins game. We'll get to that too. But
I think that's great.
I think that's awesome. I really do. I think that's amazing. The first time they wore these jerseys, I loved it with the Hurricanes, and they're going to wear them tonight in Boston. That was, I would definitely, if I was in Boston, I would be there tonight to see that.
All I know is that I heard Jeff O'Neill, who's a former Hartford Whaler, say that he didn't like the fact that the Hurricanes were co-opting their jerseys, and that's a guy who was an alumnus of the Whalers.
Yeah,
so I mean,
for yourself, it's fine. It's no big deal. I mean, I get it.
I mean, he thinks
they do have the right.
Yeah, he's a guy who played on that.
I know, but it's fun. I mean, people love them. People love them. They're fun. There's a definite there's cachet to that. The Hartford Whalers.
Not everything is based on entertainment value. There's such a thing.
We should definitely not do what people like to do, Mike. I completely agree with you 100%. We should definitely
screw people. How about that?
People enjoy it and people love it. People think it's great. We should definitely not do that because this sport is, if nothing else, not in the entertainment industry.
That's my opinion. Screw people.
This is not the entertainment industry. We're going to war here. All right.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I am too. I would be okay with. I would like to see the Avalanche wear the Quebec Nordiques jerseys. It'd be awesome. I would think that would be awesome.
Why not?
All right. And I honestly don't think the fans in Carolina loved it. They didn't have any issue with it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Let's
get back to the list.
All right, back to the list.
Give the New York Yankees a third jersey. Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Come on, I'm waiting for Mike's head to explode.
Yeah. Well, they're just figuring out but they don't even know but names of their jerseys. Anyway, let's move on.
All rise, Russ.
Possibly / probably resigning with their current club. This list is 8 people that I have.
Okay.
Jeff Skinner, Ryan Dzingel, and Joe Thornton.
Thornton, yes, it's either re-sign with San Jose or retire. If he, he's still having a decent year. He's not going to make as much as he.
That's true. Otherwise, I would have put him on the absolutely resigning thing. I think that Joe Thornton he has the last couple years, even though he's resigned in San Jose, he's definitely tested the waters a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just getting the feel. I think he'd either re-sign there or retire. Dzingel. I don't know. I mean, it depends on whether, Columbus is going to have a lot of cap space, so they might throw a lot more money at him than he'd get anywhere else.
Yeah.
Skinner, I think the Sabres have to go all out to sign him because honestly, their offense is terrible if they don't re-sign him. At least they have him and Eichel and a couple other guys. But right now, if they lose Skinner, I think it'll be a terrible thing for the Sabres, and I think they're gonna have to overpay him because right now they're in a free fall.
I think Buffalo will re-sign Skinner. I think Columbus will re-sign Dzingel, and Joe Thornton.
Yeah.
Joe Thornton, I think will come back. He has gotten a little faster since he cut his beard.
All right, the next three I have would be Varlamov, Robin Lehner, and Mike Smith. So 3 goalies who are all free agents who I think will probably just re-sign with the teams they're on.
I don't think Calgary has any interest in re-signing Mike Smith. He's been bad. He's been bad this year. I think he's done. Maybe some team will sign him as a veteran guy who could back up, but
he could be their goalie in the playoffs, Mike. It still could turn around.
He might be the goalie of the playoffs, but based on what I saw, and we'll talk about the 2 games from last night a little later on. Based on they have no goaltender. David Rittich was terrible, and Mike Smith was terrible against Minnesota on the weekend. So what we were talking about them getting Jimmy Howard or some other goaltender, yeah, you can have all the confidence in the world. Doesn't mean you have good goaltending. And
Rittich was awful last night, legit.
Yeah, but anyway, Lehner, Russ and I talked about this. Lehner is in a position where he's a UFA. Yep. He got paid a cheap contract.
Yep.
Lou is going to have to open up the books here. Because, I mean, he's having a great year. He's going to have to pay him, at least 2, maybe 3 years over. He's going to have to pay him what Mikko Koskinen got from Edmonton.
It's going to be minimum 3. Nobody goes under 3 years now. Like I said, even Bernier didn't. So I think Lehner will re-sign with the Islanders, but it will be for at least 3 or 4 years. Then they'll worry about Thomas Greiss. I guess Eck will talk to him about Greiss and make a decision about that.
And Varlamov, he has been better of late. But what Colorado, I think, has to question is the fact that it's either injury or inconsistency over the life of his contract with them. And I think they're going to look for a better option. I don't think that Grubauer is the better option, but I think, unless Varlamov cuts them a deal and they get him for less, I think they'll look for somebody in the market.
Yeah, I think they're going to look for somebody. I think Varlamov's actually done it in the NHL. I think he'll go to the KHL.
That'd be interesting. All right. Well, and the last 2 I have that are probably / possibly resigning with their current club would be Michael Raffl and Joe Pavelski.
Pavelski, yes. Raffl, I don't know, and I'll let Russ talk on that one.
Pavelski, yes. Raffl, I'm going to say in a weird twist of fate, since he wasn't dealt at the deadline, that he will re-sign with the Flyers.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that too, and I think with Raffl that what we were saying all along, the Flyers really know what they have in Raffl more than he likes it here.
Yeah,
and it's a great fit for him because he can actually do what he does here. If Raffl's the kind of guy that if he signed for like $1 million more someplace else, he'll throw the pressure on him in a way that wouldn't really necessarily work because he has to be. He plays. He's like we said before. He's a perfect chameleon to his line. Like if he's not going to put up big points, if you're going to expect him to carry your line, you're in trouble. Like if you give him a lot of money and you have him as your second line guy, and you think he's going to carry that second line because you gave him a lot of money, that's not going to happen. So but all right, Pavelski, I would almost tempted to put him in the absolutely probably resigning category, but
he's resigning. They have no choice.
He's my last one in this category, and I have heard enough that there's enough. If things go wrong in the playoffs, where Pavelski could actually decide, like if things go right and the Sharks have a good run, one thing. But Pavelski has been Pavelski, from what I've been told at least, doesn't love every change this team's made, and I think that he's waiting on this stuff. So I think that if things go right, if everything's fine, they're good.
Well, I think it's conditional on Karlsson. I think if they sign Karlsson, they don't have the money to sign Pavelski. Whereas I think if Carlson goes to market, then I think and I'm assuming they're going to at least win a round, but who knows?
I mean, you have to sign Pavelski over Carlson. There's no question about it.
Yeah, it's not even a question.
Right. But if they made a determination that they're going to move on from Pavelski, then they might sign Carlson. But we'll see.
Yeah. And then the probably resigning.
Well, you know what the other thing is too that I think is relevant in the Pavelski thing? Doug Wilson loses very few of the guys that he deems are his guys.
Yeah.
Right.
If you think about that, he's not lost too many of them over the years.
Yeah, but Russ, the problem is that what he also has done is he's overpaid those guys. And
I think he stopped doing that a few years ago.
Well, he didn't stop with Vlasic. Vlasic has had a bad year, and he's in the first year of a deal making $7 million. And I didn't think that was a good deal when they signed it, not because I don't think Vlasic is good, but because he's the type of defenseman that you're not going to get bang for the buck. He's a defensive defenseman, and you're paying him $7 million.
I still think to that team he's worth it because
I think he's worth it as a player, but I don't think he's worth $7 million over the term that he.
Well, the cap will go up a little bit. It's tough to. I mean, if you're going to spend it somewhere, you might as well spend it there.
He's got 5 block shots. He's averaging over 21 minutes of ice time. I don't look at points with Vlasic.
But he's the type of defenseman that wears down quicker because he's that type of defenseman. Block shots. Plays a lot of minutes, penalty kills. I mean, those defensemen drop off quicker than the skill.
I know he's been durable though. Like every year, he's playing somewhere between 65 and 80 games. Like,
there was a drop off.
Vlasic had a tough year. From watching the Sharks a lot, which I do. I think more of it has to do with the fact that the Sharks are playing a different style than they used to play.
Yeah, I think that's fair. With Carlson, things have changed.
Yeah, so Vlasic used to be the really solid guy and the pretty much straight up,
I'm okay with the Vlasic deal. I'm not going to kill that.
Okay. Yeah. Probably resigning. These are pretty obvious. Zeno Chara, obviously.
Yep.
Anders Lee, Brock Nelson.
No.
Hold it right there.
Lee, I think, Lou knows that Lee, he's their captain. He's he's not a replacement for Tavares, but I mean, in terms of leadership, he is. You can't let him go. I think they signed him. I think they used the money that they free up on Eberle, and they use that to sign Lee on an extension. Nelson, I don't think so.
Yeah, I think they're going to be tied up signing Lee, and Nelson's going to flee. I think that's exactly what we're.
I think they have to sign.
Yeah, and you have to factor in that they had, if Lou is proactive, and he might not be because he doesn't want to sign a rookie or a young player 1 year out from his the end of his entry level. They got to sign Matthew Barzal, and Barzal's contract is not up at this summer, but it's up after next season. You can't lock yourself. You've already locked up Bailey. You're already tied up on Boychuk and Leddy. You're gonna re-sign Lee. You can't tie up $6-7 million on Brock, or $5-6 million on Brock Nelson when you have to pay Barzal. And if Barzal has another big year, you're talking about paying him $8-9 million a year.
Yeah, good point. Now you are. Alex Edler.
Yeah, he would have waived his no trade if he wasn't interested in coming back.
I think Pete Mrazek was re-signing Carolina.
Yeah. Okay, I don't know about that one because the guy they think they're going to re-sign is McElhinney. McElhinney's had a great year. Now he's 30. He's Methuselah.
I think they're going to re-sign both of them. They're happy with their goaltending. I think they're both coming back.
I think they are happy with their goaltending.
Okay.
I don't know.
And Talbot, I think you're right. Yeah, they wouldn't have traded for Talbot if
they're not giving up assets for a guy they're just going to let go.
Yeah, the Flyers will bring back Talbot. So. Then there's other players out there too, but it's a pretty great list. I mean, we're looking at a really interesting.
Now the question is, of those 26, how many actually get to July 1 as free agents?
Yeah, that's that's the whole point of this. And I said that like the top 12, I thought were definite. That's more than usual. Like usually we have like 5 to maybe 8 or 9, never really 10 definite players at this level that get to July 1st.
Anthony says that in the chat room that Pavelski is an amazing golfer. I had no idea, But luckily, he's on a team where he doesn't have to play all
Well, if
that.
you lived out in San Jose, you
He doesn't
probably
have to
would
play too soon in the season.
Well, based on San Jose's playoff success, minus the 1 year they got to the final, no wonder Pavelski's a good golfer.
See, now you're taking that's wrong, Mike. They've been pretty successful lately. Let's leave it at that.
Yeah. Okay.
So so let's get to some of these rule changes, things that have been discussed. And they're nothing major, the ones that I saw at least.
Well, and then that's the thing that I have a problem.
That is the point.
That is the point.
Right.
The point is what they're addressing is piddly crap, and the things that need changing, that are desperately need changing, they're steering far away from. I mean, okay, so we're talking about players wearing helmets in the pregame warm up. Zippity friggin' doodah.
Makes sense.
Makes sense, but I'm saying that this is an issue. Face off, like the team who has the power play gets to choose which side of the ice the face off is on. Really?
Yeah, I like that one actually. I'm
not saying I have a problem with these, but I'm just saying this is what you need. Yeah.
I will tell you.
The helmet thing also goes into if a guy loses his helmet, he's supposed to come directly off the ice.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I don't like.
No, I don't like that either. I don't think. I mean, what if your strap breaks? Like, I don't think you need to come directly off the ice. I think
it always is ridiculous to me when I see that in other leagues. Like,
Yeah. I will say this though: in the pregame warmup, Jake Voracek will be very sad if he has to wear the helmet during pregame warmups. He will be very sad.
Why?
I think that I don't think. I mean, I understand it at the youth hockey.
He doesn't ever wear it, right? You've never seen Voracek wear it.
I mean, I understand it at the youth hockey level. I understand it at other levels too. But in the NHL, these players should be good enough not to hurt their own players in the warm up. Without
it does happen once in a blue moon, but like.
Now, this one will pass. No, this is going to really change everything. Clocks in the corner boards. Wow.
Well, they did have it for the Stadium Series, and I was up close when Eck was in goal. I was looking at the clock more than I was watching Eck, to be honest, and because it was something new. I think it's fine. I don't have a problem with it. I think it's a help. Sure.
No, I think
I have no problem with any of these. What I have a problem with is what they steered clear of. And I heard Darren Drager on Toronto radio this morning saying there's no appetite to look at the playoff format. Are you kidding me? The playoff format, I'm telling you right now, this directly affects ratings for the Stanley Cup playoffs. When you're going to eliminate, like in the second round, you're more than likely going to have a Nashville-Winnipeg second round matchup. You're probably eliminating one of the two top contenders in for the Stanley Cup in the West, eliminate each other in the second round, when that would be a pretty damn good Western Conference final. And what happened last year? Nashville and Winnipeg beat the crap out of each other in a 7-game series, and then Winnipeg had nothing left against Vegas.
So, sorry. Yesterday you weren't on the show, but excuse me, we all brought up things that we'd like to see changed, right?
Yeah.
The easiest one for me was, why not take out the trapezoid? You're not allowed to touch a goalie anymore anyhow.
Thank you. I mean, I hate that. I mean, my belief with the trapezoid, which will be forever Ed Snyder's rule. Ed Snyder, you have to remember that in order for the NHL to get some GMs or some owners to go along with the missed year in the lockout, certain things were promised, and one of them, I was told, was this trapezoid, which was purely put in there to try to counteract Marty Brodeur at the time, who was playing against the Flyers and killing them, right? So I think the trapezoid is a goalie. Even as a goalie, I think it's ridiculous that people have to wait for the puck to get in there. I think that's horrible.
Yeah.
The only thing, this is what I would do with the trapezoid. I would keep it there, but for one reason only. This is the only place, the trapezoid and the crease are the only places you can't hit a goalie. Like, because when I was growing up, you couldn't hit a goalie in the crease. Anywhere else, you were allowed to do anything you wanted to them.
Right.
So if they go into the corner,
they can be hit.
We don't allow that now. You can't hit a goalie in the corner.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go down memory lane here. I think it was 1979. Leaf Sabres. Mike Palmateer, who was an off-injured goaltender. He had just come back from an injury. He goes out to handle the puck in the corner, and Danny Gare freight trains him. I mean, honestly, you can't allow goaltenders to be touched.
No.
Period. Not in the
no, Mike. I totally disagree with
I know Danny Gare is actually going to be
Shacked. I disagree with you. If you're going out, because this is the thing. I mean, you can't have a player that can skate into the corner and not be touched. I mean, that's ridiculous. You can't.
That's how they would do it now. The goalie, you can't touch a goalie in the corner.
I know. So a goalie will skate into the corner. You know, if we take or even behind the net, and you can't hit him. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, as a goalie, you know, there has to be some kind of a repercussion about going into the corner. Like
I agree, but there is none now. Yeah.
Some kind of a risk. I think it's horrible.
I want to let you know, Mike, that I go on a show Sunday night, and Danny Gare will be on the show. So if you want to call in and vent, I'll give you the number after the show.
Thank you.
I'm telling you. I mean, I think that rule makes me crazy more than anything else. And I'm a goalie, but
and the one, and again, we've seen numerous instances in the last couple weeks. And I think anything that goes to preventing more goals from being scored is a rule that needs to be changed. And I will continue to say this until I am without breath, is that the offsides rule needs to be changed. This crap about the skate being on the ice, when even, you know, with lipstick cameras on the blue line, with cameras overhead, you cannot tell definitively whether the blade of the skate is on the ice or not. So change the rule to breaking the plane. I mean, that's what it was before. Basically, you saw these players drag their rear leg, so that part of their body was on, you know, was breaking the plane of the blue line, and the linesman would say onside.
It's kind of strange, Mike. You're right, because you know, have you guys ever played in open hockey with like a what they call the floating blue line rule?
Yeah.
Do you know what that is, Mike?
No, I don't.
The floating blue line, the concept. This is often in open hockey. This is the way you'll play, because you know, offsides is this is like a way of not having as many offsides, but yet guys can't cherry pick. The concept of it is once you cross the blue line, you know, onside, the entire half of that ice becomes the zone. Right. So you can actually the blue line's good. Now, I'm not saying the NHL should ever do this, but it comes back to the red line, and it is an interesting. I mean, I don't know if they should ever try it, but it's not something that I think it really makes sense for, like, you know, older guys who are tired, don't want to skate up and down as much. Defensemen, they don't want to try to get all the way into the zone to try to keep the puck in the zone. I think that's how it started. But the blue line itself is kind of like the middle of one of those, of like a Venn diagram when you think about it. Because when the puck comes in the zone, to get out, you have to cross over the blue line. To get in, you have to cross over the blue line. So the blue line itself is this weird.
Well, isn't that getting to more of an offsides rule similar to soccer, like where, you know, it's only offside if you're past the last defender.
Yeah, soccer's offsides is the ridiculous offsides in the world.
That's what I'm saying. I mean,
this is to me. Now, to me, the concept of, you know, there's a whole strategy in pulling guys off sides in soccer that makes me insane. But to me, there, you know, I think that either we're going to go with it, like you said, with we have the lipstick cameras and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, I really do believe that the linesmen get this thing right more than they get it wrong. And I hate the fact that we have like this cutoff point. Like, I almost feel like there needs to be a distinct, like the whole concept of distinct kicking motion, which I always rip on.
Right.
There needs to be like a distinctly offsides rule, like something like that. Like, this is obviously
they're not going to do it. It's too much trouble.
That's too ambiguous, Zach. I mean,
I know, but that's what you want. That's what you want more of, because then people wouldn't challenge things. It would be like, he was obviously offsides. Okay, that's.
Sure. I do want to say that in the chat room, Queen Dedine, the only queen of the chat room, was questioning why Mike brought up the 1970s, which is a fair point.
Well, it's just when that incident happened. I mean, I can cite other instances.
Happened in the 90s or 2000s.
Well, no, but I was at that game. I saw it happen. I saw the bench clearing brawl that happened afterward, where they tried to basically rip off Danny Gare's helmet and his head with it. So yeah, I mean,
Philly, and then like, I'm not going to go back to the 70s, but I'll go into like, I think the 90s, where I forget who it was that checks Hasek into the corner when he went out to get the puck.
Primo. Against the Keith Primo.
Right. Yeah, turns the whole series on that hit. That's also the game where Leclerc scored the goal through the side of the net.
Yep.
So
it was game 2.
I'll never forget, because I was sitting behind the goal and I saw it clear as day that.
I heard Darcy Regier was like a man who wanted to kill. That
was before highlights, and it was so obvious that that Hasek had the corner, had the side covered, and I saw it go. I saw the net budge. I saw everything happen, and then because I was in the perfect. If I was a referee, I would have been in the perfect position to see it, but the referees weren't there. So,
all right, I have a public service announcement here. As of March 31st, the Verrazano Bridge will be $19. Go some other way. Like, this is just getting ridiculous.
jeez,
That's like more than the Tappan Z Bridge.
I know. $19. Are you kidding me?
That's insane. The other rule I really think, I'm sure you guys talked about this at length, but I wrote about it too. Is the I hate. We either have to have 3 points for a regulation win or get rid of the overtime loss point. Like,
we all want that, but again, Mike and I were talking off air. Mike was mentioning like there's some sort of like you look at a team with 100 points and say, well, that's a 100-point team, but in today's NHL, a 100-point team isn't as good as a 100-point team was a decade ago.
Sure, no, they could have less than 40 wins.
Yeah.
Well, right now I look at wins. Right now there are only 3 teams with over 40 wins.
Yeah.
And that's Tampa, Calgary, and Toronto.
But what kills me about this whole thing is, and I really wish I had the time to mathematically put this together, to go through the games right now and see how many games that are tied going into the third period and the amount of shots that happen in tied games in third periods, because there's no question the teams are shutting it down and not taking it.
No question.
So I would love to see, like, at what point in the year do the shot totals in third periods fall off the map? Like, because it's absolutely the case. Like that's what you're seeing right now, and it makes for horribly boring hockey. It's so frustrating for teams.
Well, I feel sorry for the fans in Vegas who are looking for entertaining hockey going down the stretch, because Vegas is home and cooled out. They're like the Leafs were last year. There was no way the Leafs were moving up to second place or down to the wild card. They were stuck in third. Vegas is stuck in third. They're 6 points ahead of the wild card teams. They'd have to completely collapse over the last 16 or 17 games to not be third place in the Pacific.
Yep.
So you're not going to get competitive hockey. You're going to get Malcolm Subban probably playing 5 or 6, maybe more games down the stretch because they want to rest Marc-Andre Fleury for the playoffs. That's another thing with the playoff format being not conference but being divisional, where you eliminate those third place teams being home and cooled out if you have a conference format.
It's horrible. And beyond, and the only reason that the Flyers with Dave Haxtell made the playoffs at all was because of the loser points. Yeah. And when you think about it, the concept of the Flyers being like the first team in history to win 10 games in a row and not make the playoffs, and then lose 10 games in a row and make the playoffs, tells you all you need to know about this, like the craziness of how these points are divvied out. There's no balance to it at all. It's ridiculous. And when you get 3 points given out for all these divisional games right now, I mean, the crazy stat, and you guys talk about it all the time. We joke about, they're 3 points out or 5 points out, and yet they have 5% chance to win, make the playoffs or whatever. It's all because of this. Clear as day, right?
Well, you know what Vegas is going to do now? I heard that Wayne Newton's doctor won't let him do the siren anymore, so they're going to have Cher do it now, Mike. So she's a little younger.
She needs to build up her upper body strength. Let's talk about the 2 games from last night, because I mean, one was a game between 2 of the best teams in the league, and the other one was 2 of the worst. And I know that Edmonton has gotten hot the last few games. They've actually won a few. They're playing the dregs of the league right now. Ottawa is a crap show, and the Sabres, after the 10-game winning streak, they've been the worst club in the NHL, the worst record.
Yeah.
And all they really had to do, I know that some of the radio hosts in local Buffalo radio this morning were saying all they had to do was go 500 the rest of the year and they would have been in the playoffs. Well, that
easier said than done. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
I mean, look at it this way: since January 5th, the Flyers have been the best team in the NHL.
Right, and they're still 5 points out of a playoff spot.
And that's 2 solid months of the season that they have been the best team in the NHL.
Right.
So, I mean, that's where the math part definitely gets in the way. It does.
Now, I mean, this is the thing.
Math. Maybe that's the answer.
Yeah. But I mean, Buffalo, like I watched the first period of that game, and Buffalo was flying, and Eichel had, I think he had a couple goals. And they were, I mean, Mikko Koskinen, I scratched my head when they signed that they signed him to that contract before Chiarelli got fired, and he was terrible in the first period. And then I sort of checked back later on, and I see 4-3 Edmonton, and I'm like, what the hell happened? What happened is the Sabres stopped playing, and there's a lot of talent on that roster. I'm not blaming Phil Housley, but again, this is another year where the Sabre fan base is fed up.
Yeah,
they have not made the playoffs. Now it's I think 8 seasons. You've got talent on that roster, but not enough talent. You've got goaltending that's questionable. And Russ, I think what they're doing the last couple of weeks is they're testing out whether Allmark is capable of being the number one. He's starting
at this point. That is he's had a good year. He's got a fair amount of wins. He's got a good save percentage. Give him the reins. Let him see what he can do.
And in 2 of the 3 games, he got undressed by Toronto on Saturday and didn't play well in the second and third period against Edmonton. So, I mean, but okay, so if he's not your number one, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen is 2 to 3. He's 2 to 3 years away.
Yeah.
Carter Hutton is a 1B at best. Your defense, you've got a great young defenseman in Dahlin. They're ready to, from the indications here, they're ready to trade Ristolainen yesterday because
I'm bristling at that.
I agree, but he's leading the league in minus.
Whatever.
I know. I'm just telling you the criticisms.
Well, they're a bad team. And anybody who plays the amount of time he plays on a bad team is going to have that issue.
There's criticism in Buffalo over condiments too. Not everybody in Buffalo knows what they're talking about.
Well,
so there's anything else in that? I have something else.
Not condiments. I'm not going to get into a ketchup argument with Russ.
My wife has never had a condiment in her life.
Wait a minute. Wait. She's never had vinegar. She's never had vinegar.
Nope.
She's never had mustard.
Nope.
Or relish or ketchup.
Nope.
Okay. What? Mayonnaise. She's never had mayonnaise.
Oh God, no. She won't eat mayonnaise. No way. She does not believe in condiments or sauces.
What is a turkey sub? What does she put?
Sauces of any kind. Like she likes it dry as could be.
Oil.
Nope, oil. No, she will eat a
dry sub.
Dry as possible. Like if there's anything on there at all, any kind of anything. Like
maybe a tomato to
closest thing. And I don't think this is a condiment that she has is salsa. Right? She'll eat salsa, but salsa is not really a condiment.
No, it's just
outside. People call it a condiment.
Yeah.
She will not eat salad dressing. Nope, none. No salad dressing.
Wow.
Not of any kind.
She doesn't know what she's missing.
She just has a thing about anything being
slimy.
So weird. I don't know what it is.
Slimy stuff. Okay, the other game. I can't recover from that.
No,
the other game. Now the funny thing is, Russ, you predicted 5-2. You almost got it, but you predicted the wrong score.
Well,
and that the wrong team.
1-2-0. I saw that Rittich had nothing. He had nothing going on that game.
Yeah, I'm telling I talked to I exchanged messages with Sean Vetter, our former colleague on Hockey Buzz, who's the still a keen observer of the Flames. And he says, "Oh no, they don't need a goalie. They don't need First of all, he said Jimmy.
A lot of Flames people are like, they are of that. I know a couple people like that out there who are part of the team are like, no, you guys are misunderstanding the goalie situation. We have a good and a better goalie, but we don't have bad goalies.
Okay, that's horse crap because yesterday Rittich played like a bad goalie.
He played like a bad goalie.
Yeah, and I saw and I'm talking about a sort of like flubber that went up in the air. From Tyler Ennis
over his shoulder. Oh.
Yeah, the one over his shoulder. And then his hat trick goal was basically at the top of the faceoff circle where he turned around and just fired it toward the net and it went through his legs. I mean, those goals in a playoff scenario are absolutely deflating. They may go to Smith.
That goal. It was like no, and he just went between his legs. It was such.
Where's the Billy Baru?
Yeah,
but no. I mean, I have to say though, the Leafs getting that kind of production out of their fourth line. I mean, that's why. I mean, that was pretty close to a 60-minute effort, which they have had very few of.
Yeah.
And Anderson, if Anderson plays like that in the playoffs, they have a chance because he was unreal yesterday.
Yeah, because Calgary put on a lot of pressure in the early going, and he was really good. Again, that's why in the mid-season rankings, I put him as the MVP, and I may stick with that. I mean, I don't know.
He's got 32 wins.
I know. I don't know what this Leafs team is without him. Like, it's just.
Well, and you say that, and then the strange thing happens today that they re-signed Garrett Sparks for a year, who's been very pedestrian. He's only played 14 games. He's a couple games over 500. His save percentage is a little below the league average, I believe. His goals against is over 3. They don't play well in front of him, but I think it's the fact that they got him under contract, Russ, for $750 a year on a 1-year deal. So that's a deal that you can trade. That's a deal that you can send through waivers, and maybe it gets through. And if they think that they need a better backup next year, they can go out and sign one and bury Sparks or move him out. So, I mean, I don't understand. I don't understand it, but I think Dubas is trying to be proactive and lock up as many of his players at low amounts as he can,
for sure,
because he knows that some of the other ones, like Mitch Marner, are going to cost him a ton. And I don't know if you caught it, Eck, but Brad Marchand decided he was going to be his usual pleasant and nice self. Yep. And went out on Twitter and said something about Marner making $12 million, being as much of a troll on social media as he is on the ice.
So yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I don't want to get into the Marner thing right now, but I am following a lead up on a really crazy Marner story, but I can't get into it yet, and I won't get into it yet because it's still off the record. But it's an off-season thing, but it will be fascinating. So.
Okay, looking it up, Dominik Hasek is the last goalie to win the Hart, and he did it 2 consecutive years.
Yep.
He had 41 wins 1 year.
Yeah,
that's the most amount of wins he ever had.
He won it after Theodore did?
Oh, that's a good question. I didn't see Theodore on the list. All right, so Theodore is the last one.
Okay.
So, but again,
I felt like Hasek. I mean, Theodore. It was a weird year. Theodore got it.
I do remember that.
I think it was Ginla who should have won it, and they gave it to Theodore.
It wasn't like a definitive.
Yeah.
But where Hasek was definitively the MVP.
Oh, years. Please, Hasek is the only reason that team got to a Stanley Cup final. It was patently absurd that team, with their best line being Mike Pekka, Dixon Ward, and I think it was Michael Grosek. I mean, their offense was terrible. Their defense was average at best, and Hasek carried them.
Yeah, I mean, Theodore won 30 that year. Boy, if Freddie Anderson wins 39 games or something crazy like that, like he will be in the running. He has to be.
Russ, they've got 16 games left, and based on back-to-backs, he's going to play probably 13 more games. He's going to get to like 61 or 62 games. And I'm against that in terms of they should give him a little more rest going into the playoffs because their fortunes rely on him. But Babcock is going to stick with what Babcock does, and that means non-back-to-backs unless he's injured, he's starting.
I don't know that there's any way that the MVP doesn't come out of Tampa this year. Like, it's just, to me, that's
he wins 10 games and has 42 wins. That is going to be a hell of a debate because, again, you don't want to put wins on just the goalie's back because it's a lot more that goes into it. But we've seen what the Leafs look like without him.
Well, I mean, you're more than likely you're right, Ak. It's probably going to be Kucherov, but
most likely.
I want to do some fast-paced things on the show to get some stuff out there that I had written down, some fun things.
Okay.
If that's okay with you guys. First off, the Hockey Buzz projected standings blogs will start tomorrow, where you will see what's real as far as 5% or not. And no, the Flyers are not projected to make the playoffs right now, but I'm just saying
it's accurate.
No, it's not. It's a little bit different than 5% chance. Anyway, that's one thing. But then let's move on to some other things which are really fascinating today that I found out there. First of all, Matt Cullen will play in his 1500th NHL game tonight.
Okay,
that's a lot of hockey games for a guy like Matt Cullen, who's been a good player, but
some speed. That's the crazy thing.
Then Matt Cullen wasn't he once? Am I wrong that he was? Am I thinking of another Cullen that was on the Whalers?
He's not related to
That's
King
John.
Cullen.
That's John Cullen.
Yeah, that's John Cullen, and he's not related to King Cullen.
Here's something that was emailed to me right now. That Dougie Hamilton. The people do have an issue with Doug Hamilton wearing number 19 for the Whalers when that number was retired as a Whaler player. I do agree that they should change numbers for a situation like that. Like I don't think somebody should wear like a retired Whalers jersey number.
I think there was a photo of him wearing that he had altered his number on his.
He taped over tapes a 6 on top of the 1, which is not the best idea.
Yeah, no.
But I think that here they should make that a 91. I don't have a problem with that. I think that's something that's something interesting to look to. All right. The Islanders have recalled Ho-Sang and Dal Cole.
Yeah, they know that they've dipped, so now they're trying to get some extra jump in their lineup.
For those of you fans of players with 3 names, those guys have all been. How about this? The Devils tonight in their lineup, of their 12 forwards, of course, the Devils are devastated by crazy amounts of injuries. The Devils have their 12 forwards tonight. 9 of their 12 forwards tonight have scored fewer than 4 goals this year.
Well, I thought it was
9 of their 12 forwards have scored 3 goals or less this year. Think about that.
Yeah, it's not good. Not good. I thought it was interesting that we saw yesterday, and I believe this was for the Blue Jackets' last game, that Tortorella scratched Adam McQuaid in favor of Dean Kukin.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, right, and then this is the thing: is the general manager and the coach on the same page? Because when you're trading 2 draft picks to get a guy who 2 games after is being benched,
it's not about the GM or the coach. It's probably about the pro scout. And whoever thought that McQuaid could skate at the NHL level, that's a reach. And Tortorella's looking at him saying, I don't know how he did it in New York, but he can't do it with my team. It's not fitting in. I don't blame him.
I like this too. I don't blame Tortorella either. I actually have a strange amount of respect for a team that allows their GM and their coach to have their own opinions. Mm-hmm. Because quite often people can sit there and say, well, he can't do that. The GM. And I think also we saw that clearly, with the guy that they traded away, who Tortorella was scratching. Whom I've always liked, who got traded to Ottawa. Come on, guys.
Sorry, I was answering a question.
No, anyway.
I know what you're talking about. I can't think of it.
Yeah, the guy from Arizona to Chicago. Oh my God. Anyway,
not Yarmelson.
No, somebody will pop it up in the chat room. He got traded to Ottawa. And Tortorella was scratching him and was mad at him and was saying he wasn't a good player and all this stuff right before he got traded. Oh my God.
I know who you're talking about. I can't think of it.
Someone in the chat room will help us out. Anyway, but I think that's another case of that, of that crazy situation, right? So another person sent this to me, and I do agree with this 100%, that you have the clocks in the corners, but you also need a clock like directly across from the benches where the penalty timekeeper would be there, where the guy who announces the goals. A big clock there facing the benches, because that if you ever sit near a bench and look what those guys do to see the time on the bench, it's like what am I doing? That kind of thing. There should be ones directly across from them, across on the ice. You can get like something like this big,
or where the officials sit.
Anthony Duclair. Sorry. Oh God.
Oh, Anthony Duclair.
Well, I thought you were talking about a defenseman.
That's who I was thinking of. Sorry.
You could have clocks on each side and the inside of the penalty box, like where the officials are.
Yeah. But really, all you need is that one right there, like right on center ice, directly across from you. That would be easy as pie. Another thing I had here, Radulov has been scratched tonight because he was late for practice.
I don't know what's going on in his life, right? But when your team is on the edge, why in the world are you showing up late to practice?
Yeah, Radulov is always, this obviously this guy got scratched in the playoffs. Remember
and him and Kostitsyn. But
yeah,
the funny thing is that if you look at the stats right now, him and Sagan are doing the lion's share of the scoring. Ben has had a okay year, not as good as he's usually have. But he's been carrying his weight in terms of offense. It's the rest of that team. Their numbers offensively are way down. That's why the injury to Zuccarello really hurt them, because he came in the first game, scored a goal, played really well, and then broke his arm, and that was their big move. And now I think they're in a bind when it comes to making the playoffs, because you've got Minnesota and Colorado, and Arizona is the weekend at Bernie's. He's Bernie Lomax who won't die. So it's not a guarantee that Dallas makes it. And I don't think that means that Montgomery's in trouble because it's his first year, but Nil might be in trouble because they're just not. They've paid out big money on those guys, and that they're not. You remember the Jim Lights comment. They're not happy with the production of their big guys.
Yeah. All right, quickly, one last thing. Paul Stewart, our hockey buzzer, who we're so proud to have as part of Hockey Buzz.
I saw him at the Bean Pot. It was great.
His articles are awesome. The stuff he writes it's one of the best things on our website that doesn't get enough traffic. So definitely, people. I mean, he gets read. He should get read all the time. But anyway, he is a part of making history. And I saw this article that he is now basically gone. He if you remember, he is the director of officiating right now for the ECAC Hockey League, which is one of the NCAA's 6 Division I conferences.
Right.
And he called up Katie Gay, who is I think it's pronounced Gay. It's Guay.
Yeah.
Called Katie Gay, she's a referee, and assigned her to a game between Union and Sacred Heart, and she thought it was like a girls' game, but it wasn't. So this is like the first woman to ref a game in college hockey.
Great.
Which is, the NHL has long said that apparently that they believe that this would be a great opportunity for women, that they think there could be more women referees in the NHL, because all it takes is like a lot of endurance and speed. And
I was going to say, all I think the NHL is concerned about is speed, because there's not much fighting anymore, so they don't need people to break up the fights. It's going to be, can you keep up with the play? Can you make the calls? And if they're quick enough, and we saw from Kendall Coyne that there are women who can fly,
no question.
that they'll be officials. I think it will not be more than a few years until you see it happen. And
so let me tell you about Stewart real quick. So I'm sitting at the Bean Pot, and it's before the first game. Upstairs in that area, it's kind of dark because the first game doesn't get a lot of people. And all of a sudden, a guy walks by, and he's got a hat on, and it's Stewart, and he like grabs me and he goes, "Hey, we got matching sweaters." We had like long sweaters on. It was really funny.
Really?
Remember, this is the guy who wore a yellow helmet when he was in the movie Slapshot, just so he could find himself in the crowd, or find himself on the ice.
Here's one other thing about him you may not know. I was interviewing him for a book a couple of years ago. He can't read the toll tickets, right? He can't read the print on them. So what he does is, because he was on the phone, and while I was talking to him, he goes, "Hold on, I got to pay a toll." And he goes to the woman, "Hey, how much does that say?" And she had to read it to him because he wasn't at an automated one. But he can't read the print on the toll tickets.
It's too small? Is it that it's too small?
Yeah, it's too small.
Okay. I love it. And finally, the last but not least thing here today, this the Ottawa Senators put out their season ticket holder thing. And this is
we'll pay you to come.
This is the picture here. And what you can't see in the background up here is, in their season ticket holder, there is a Red Wings fan giving them the finger.
Oh yeah, look at that. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Yep. There that is.
The
so
gift that keeps on giving.
Red Wings photo.
Exactly. And I am going to now go to tanknation.com, because it is time to do.
By the way, the Flyers have an 8.2% chance.
I've gone up a little bit. Huh?
Columbus Blue Jackets, and strength of schedule is part of it. The Columbus Blue Jackets have a 55.3% chance.
55.3. All right. Well, they're 1 point out. That's kind of ridiculous.
They're both out. The point.
Yeah. No, the Flyers are more than 1 point out.
No, I know, but both teams are out of it, and one has a 55% chance and one has an 8. They're both on the outside looking in currently. Correct?
Yeah. How do you have I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't know math.
No, it's not. This is not math. This is. I have to talk to my wife about this. I have her. Maybe we'll have her on here. She would explain. My wife's a PhD.
If you have her on here, I'm going to be bringing out condiments from my refrigerator and asking her why she.
Not going to happen.
Okay, here, ready, Jack?
All right, I'm ready. I got it. I got tankathon.com, which is our favorite. Wow, pretty good. Here we go. And today we're going to simulate the lottery. Here we go. Coming up now. And it is the New Jersey Devils.
Wow.
So the New Jersey Devils have won the draft lottery, which would be only going up 3 points or 2 places from number 3.
Yeah.
And,
I saw on the things on YouTube, you always see like old things that you've watched previously, and one of our old trade deadline shows was on there, and I started watching, and I miss our sound effects.
Yeah, no, actually, it's funny you say that. I just got a mixer, and I am working on some sound effects for the show.
I miss it.
I got a mixer here, and I also want to have a musical theme in the beginning of the show. So there's a couple things we're gonna be doing.
And let me ask you: we all used to bitch and moan with Edmonton in the first overall pick. If New Jersey did win it again, I mean, again, that would be since 2017, right, for Nico Hischier.
Yep.
So twice in 3 years, like all of a sudden, do the Devils start to draw the iron?
But they're not. I mean, they're not trying to. And they did make the playoffs. They're not trying to tank. They were just devastated by injury.
I'm saying if they get the first overall again, I mean, they're never gotten it.
Yeah.
The reason people are pissed off at Edmonton is what? 4?
I know, but
4 number 1 picks.
That's 2,
including the generational talent in Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Don't say it like that, Mike.
What's that?
The way you say it, and the generational talent, Connor McDavid, like he's supposed to make the whole team better. He can't.
No. I'm just saying. I'm complimenting him. I think he's a great, unbelievable generational talent. That's what I think he is.
I think he's really good. He's not as good as Austin.
Oh God! I'm glad your audio got cut off.
Thank Google. Thank you, Google.
He's not as good as Austin Matthews.
Okay, well, Matthews is making less than him, so that doesn't matter.
It's all right. It's okay. He's probably making more because Toronto. Anyway.
Yes.
All right, guys. A lot of big games tonight. What would you say the buzz game of the night is tonight for you guys?
The buzz game of
throwing this at you right now for the hell of it.
Look, here are the games tonight. Hurricanes, Bruins, Blue Devils, Blue Jackets, Devils, Senators, Islanders, keep going. Florida Penguins. Oh, Winnipeg and Tampa. That's the
Winnipeg
game.
and Tampa. Definitely the best game of the night.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yep, I think that's the best game of the night.
That's definitely the best game of the night. Let's get your pick on the on that.
Hurricanes Bruins. There's more implications there. I already know what Tampa and Winnipeg do.
No, you're right. I mean, there's 2 different things here. There's the game of the night, and then the most important game of the night. Sorry.
Yeah, the Carolina games.
Carolina Boston game. Carolina Boston, Columbus, New Jersey, and Montreal, LA are all huge games.
I'll say this: if Columbus loses to New Jersey and they go 1-4 since the deadline,
there will be some sparks. I predict if they were to lose this game tonight, you will see a different Torts. He's already started to go that way a little. Like last couple of games, he's been the pressure showing a little bit. The meter, the red meter in his brain has been going up. I think you'll see Torts explode if they lose this game.
Yeah, I mean the Hurricanes have been so impressive with the kind of ways with the ways they've won lately.
Will Larry Brooks be in Newark?
Yeah, I don't know. Really fascinating.
Playoffs.
The thing sets up, and the Flyers, obviously Flyers fans. This is the game at hand that a lot of these teams have.
Yeah.
So these are big games for the Flyers to. Well, Pittsburgh, Florida is also in there too because the Penguins aren't in yet either. So. All
right. Do you think? Let me ask you this: in your crazy, I know there's a lot of brain under that hat, but I have to ask you: do you think?
There's more hair than you, but yeah, there's a lot of brain in you.
Hair and brain.
So doesn't measure the size of your brain, though. Hair is just an accoutrement for your brain.
It's something to grow on. Yep, go ahead.
Anyhow, do you think there's any chance that the Penguins are not making the playoffs and the Flyers are?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I don't think I would put that if you want to talk 5%, I'll give you 5% on that. but not a big chance. But no, the Penguins.
There was a song by 5% or nothing. It's
Yeah.
nothing.
No. The Penguins are clearly not what they were. They are. They have injuries as they go. They've got if they lose Crosby or Malkin.
Crosby in the last game, how he basically took over the game and made sure they won.
Yeah, but without Crosby, Malkin, the point is either those guys go down. Yeah, there's a chance. I mean, they're so dependent on them right now.
It's going to be an injury.
No, but they're so dependent on them, so you got to give it a chance, right?
Claude Giroux goes out for the Flyers, then what?
Yeah,
not as important.
I was going to make a plane crash joke, but I won't now.
What if Brian Elliott goes out?
Yeah, right. Maybe. No. I mean, Brian Elliott has done a hell of a job for the Flyers.
Okay, 3 goalies, Zach. They're going to be carrying 3 goalies down the stretch here?
Sure.
No,
they have to. I mean, they have to do that. I mean,
they don't have to.
What are they going to do with it? I mean, what are they going to do? They're not going to do about the minors.
They could send Carter Hart back down to Lehigh.
They could if they really fall out of it. Okay, if they do fall out of it, that's what they should do.
I got news for you. Lehigh is falling out of it. There may be
no, they don't care about that. I mean,
they
care about it, but they don't care about it to the point where they're going to make a decision based on that. Of course,
it matters for Carter Hart. Playing in the playoffs is an important thing for young goalies. Again,
I do agree.
I know,
but you don't send him back as long as you have a shot at making the playoffs. You don't send him back. You can't.
But Elliott's your guy. You're going to sit. If you're not taking out Elliott, I'm giving you this weird hypothetical thing, but if you're not taking out Elliott and Talbot is the backup, Carter Hart will be watching.
If that's the case, I'm sure he's down, but that's not going to happen. Carter Hart will get one more chance. And Carter Hart is still their starter right now.
If Elliott keeps winning, they're not putting in Hart until they decide that Elliott's not looking good anymore.
No, they're just going to allow Hart the time to get back, but
allow him.
No, they are. They're not going to rush him back, but they aren't going to. When he's ready, they're going to put him back in. I don't know. Just they will, and I mean, because everyone knows what Elliott is. Elliott can do this. He has streaks like this. There's no question about it.
Nobody can explain the Flyers goaltending from the start of the year to now. Nobody in the world. There is no translator in the world that can explain what's gone on. Nobody.
8 goalies. I mean, 8 goalies, right? NHL.
We've never seen anything like this in the history of hockey. Never.
In a couple years, we're going to be asked to name all 8 goalies.
That's true.
I mean, a few years ago, when Marty Brodeur was still in the Devils, I did an article that listed the goalies that the Devils had since Marty got there, and the goalies that the Flyers had in that same period of time. It was just unbelievable. With all that time, the Devils had basically 2 goalies with Brodeur and Terreri for a long time. The Flyers had something like 28 goalies, and now and that was before. I mean, since Brodeur's retired, the Flyers have even picked up that pace as far as how many goalies they have playing
in 1 year.
Yeah, in 1 year or a couple. I mean, this is a team that went. They had 4 goalies played a year in 2010 when they went to the Stanley Cup Finals.
In the playoffs.
Yeah, no, 3 in the playoffs. Yes, there were 3 in the playoffs, 4 in the regular season. I mean, just like crazy stuff.
All right, Carter Hart is back Saturday.
Yep.
If the Flyers keep winning, are you pulling out Elliott to play him the next game?
Depends.
No, there's no.
I mean, to me, no. I don't. If the Flyers, I mean, what just happened? I mean, Elliott Saturday's against the Islanders, right? The Islanders are back in Philly. Now that matters who they're playing against. So to me, they got 1 game. They play tomorrow night. They play the Capitals. The Flyers do.
Right.
And then they don't play again until Saturday.
Right.
When they play now, if I would bring Carter Hart back in as a backup for 1 game.
See, there's no way. There's no way.
Backup for a game.
There's no way that I bring Carter Hart back coming off an injury, sitting out for a couple weeks. The best thing to do, send him to Lehigh. You have Elliott and Talbot as your 2 goaltenders. Elliott's the hot hand. You keep playing them. If somebody gets hurt, which we know that can happen, then you bring Hart back. But Hart would get work down with Lehigh. That's the way to go. But if they keep all 3 goaltenders, then all it is essentially, we said we're not going to send Carter Hart down to the AHL. He's going to be our goaltender, and they're only keeping him up to make that statement true, which is
the next game will not be until Monday against Ottawa. And how many days will it be since Carter Hart's last play goal? Like that's an issue.
It'll be over 2 weeks. So get him some work. Okay.
To me, it's the perfect situation. Bring him in as a backup on Saturday, play him on Monday against Ottawa, and then see where you are.
Okay.
Because you're gonna, even if, and that unless LA, of course, gets shelled against the Capitals tomorrow night, or something like that. But if LA gets shelled, I go to Talbot on Saturday against the Islanders. Either way, I don't go to.
It's a pitching rotation, Russ. It's a pitching rotation. They're gonna go with a 3-man rotation.
Maybe.
I mean, they can.
He's not playing Cam Talbot.
Christopher in the chat room is saying they can't send him to Lehigh Valley. They can send him to Lehigh Valley.
Of course, they can send him to Lehigh. He already passed through waivers, so he could play in the playoffs if they were to make it.
Yeah, so he can. I mean, he definitely can. He can go to Lehigh.
He's waiver exempt.
Right.
He's waiver exempt. Yeah, he's.
And that's what I meant. Waiver exempt, but they already did all that.
No, they did. They did do that. Christopher's saying they did waive him last Tuesday. They did do that.
They did.
Yeah, it's I don't think they call it the clear day roster any longer, but
not officially a waiving thing. It's just
you send them down and you send them back up in the same essentially the same transaction, so they qualify for the AHL playoffs.
They did paper waive him. They did.
Yeah, they did. I mean, that's what I heard at least.
All right, we have to end.
All right, guys. All the time we have. Sorry, I'm eating peanuts.
It's all good.
Yeah. Thank you for watching. Remember, without the buzz, it's just hockey. We will talk to you tomorrow.